Start streaming. All right, we should be live now that we've got that squared away. Yeah. That is very strange. YouTube has redesigned their website. Those of you that have your own channels, there's a YouTube studio where you go and it has your video dashboard manager and all that. And they redesigned it. And for some reason, the new redesign gives me a key. And that isn't the key for me to actually stream.
DT, it's streaming under your old state of the channel, DT Live.
Where is it actually streaming?
It isn't under chat with Patreons, ironically. When you go to your channel, it will see state of the channel, DT Live, and then under there, chat with Patreons.
Okay, so we are actually streaming. It's just...
Look, I can show you.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, this is weird. We are having some strange issues here with YouTube.
This is the page for chat with Patreons, and this is state of the channel.
What is going on here? Yeah, I'm going to actually... Yeah, we started streaming 73 seconds ago.
Yeah.
I don't know where.
Well, I mean, it's streaming on YouTube. It's just streaming under the wrong name for the stream with the wrong thumbnail. And I have no idea how I would fix that because I already created the thumbnail and scheduled the stream. But for some reason, when YouTube has decided to stream this today. All right. Well, let me just direct everybody at the YouTube chat. What I could do is I could actually record this and I could actually edit it and re-upload it later. Let me... That would be a lot of work to render a 2-hour video. It'd take all day, but I wouldn't have to edit it at all. So...
Ah, there we are.
Is there no sound?
Ah, there we are.
Okay, there is sound. All right, so I'm going to...
Go to the chat room.
Yeah, that is weird. I have no idea. And I've had this problem with YouTube where it gets like the dates and stuff kind of screwed up. Well, I'll schedule a stream for tomorrow and it'll say I streamed a week ago or next week or something. I don't know. There's something weird going on here. So I can't really... I mean, there's no way I can change what we're doing now. We're live. So it's... and I can't even really change that title, I don't think. Let me see. Yeah. For those of you watching this live stream, we're still trying to get set up here. There's some issues here with YouTube. I'm going to see if I can fix this for a couple of minutes. If I can't, we're just going to go with it. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to record the live stream. I'll actually have a physical copy on my drive here, and I'll edit all of this out later and re-upload it to YouTube with the right title.
You can just change the title and thumbnail.
Yeah, but I might want to get rid of all the crud for the first 10 minutes where we're trying to set everything up. Let's see. Live streaming. Actually, yeah, I might be able to do that right now. All right, yeah, I have a solution, I think. Give me just a second, guys.
Big pause. You put Solus on yet?
Yeah, how's Solus going?
I haven't yet, and I'm probably going to put it on a virtual machine. Kind of scared of breaking my installs.
I got it up and running. I got all the updates going. I just got to figure out how to get things installed now. got to remember to take notes so I can, because I didn't like the way the installer worked, especially when I was trying to partition the drive. It wanted me to go external to the installer to use gparted or fdisk or something.
Yeah, actually, that's why I don't want to install it on real hardware, because I'm kind of afraid, since I just got the system really working. Again, I don't want it to break again.
Yeah.
You have problems with Windows or Manjaro installs. Because I just got the Manjaro install running, really.
All right, so what I did, I changed the title and the description and the thumbnail on YouTube.
Smart.
So that should be straight. The only thing that's messed up now, and I can fix that, it'll take me about 2 more minutes, is the YouTube chat is not correct, because that is the chat from what should have been the correct stream, but now we're somewhere else. So let me straighten this out. Yeah, I have no idea. This is the first time I've ever seen YouTube mess up a stream quite like this. Like I said, I've seen some dates messed up before, like when you schedule something, it'll, you schedule something for 30 minutes later and it'll say you're doing it a week later or something strange like that, but it's never actually like messed up the title and the description. I mean, that was the title and description for the stream I did, like a week and a half ago.
Yeah.
And it's not even like if I go to live streaming, none of that information is even there. I don't know how it pulled all that information from the last stream I did. So, but we're good now. So we got about 50 people, hopefully, that stuck around to watch. So we should be straight. So, of course, this is a chat with the patrons here for the month of March. It only took us about 13 minutes late to get here. So, thank you,
He
YouTube.
does, yes, Patrick.
Yeah, Dr. Evil, yeah.
$1
million. Yes, I get the Dr. Evil jokes. Of course, Kojak, Agent 47 from Hitman. All us bald-headed white guys. We look alike. All right.
Gonna be there soon as well.
Well, now that we've got all that set up, yeah, so what's everybody been doing? Anything interesting? Computer-wise, tech-wise, Linux-wise?
Well, I spent last week trying to get Zoom on a Raspberry Pi 3. Unsuccessfully, by the way. Not only were the libraries not there that were needed, but the RAM just was, it was like 800 some odd RAM, and I think Zoom needs at least a gig. And so we were going with a different solution on that. And then of course we got stuff going on at work that's, IT is never ending.
Mm-hmm.
Problems. Major problems that we're having is some wireless printers work down in my office. I get them configured and go up to the factory floor where it's supposed to be installed, and they don't work. They see the network, they connect, but the servers can't send anything to it. So that's basically how my week's been playing.
Yeah. That's wireless, though. It's always a headache.
Yeah. But they're wireless printers. There is no option to put
there's no option to plug them in, right? If they don't have a connection, you got no choice but to work it out. And I know Big Pod, he's been using GNOME 3.32 for the last week. That was his project. So
somewhat, plus fixing my laptop that I got back from repairs.
Yeah, I saw you on Big Daddy last night, Big Pod, trying to convince them all that GNOME was a great desktop environment. You were fighting the good fight there.
It's quite okay desktop environment.
It's not the worst.
It's better than KDE.
It is. You know, and people think I'm strange when I say that because I give GNOME a lot of flack, but I would rather use it than Plasma.
Yeah, and it's better than GNOME too, so that's a huge plus.
Yeah.
I don't know, what do you have against Plasma?
Never
what do I have against
start? I just couldn't.
For me, it's just got too much stuff going on with it. Where GNOME, people complain about it being stripped down and removing a lot of features. I don't mind that sort of thing that much. For me, like just changing stuff in Plasma, all the settings and everything, it can be kind of confusing if you don't use Plasma that much. Where I can kind of figure out what to do with GNOME because you can't do much with it anyway. If you don't do any extensions, I mean, there's really nothing to it.
I was living in GNOME for a while. You know, didn't really have a problem with it. The biggest thing that I didn't like the tablet interface. I call it the tablet interface where they take everything out. You know, give me a start button with the start menus and stuff like that. But once I got used to the activity and just basically searching and learning the names of the actual applications, I didn't really have a problem with it.
I personally think that menu, as I said, tablet mode, is actually in one side actually a plus because a lot of us use mouse, and with mouse a lot less thinking. You have to press exactly. It's a big square. You can use almost no mind to press the right button. Yeah. That's one of the plus, and otherwise it's what Windows 8 tried to be, but better.
Oh God, I know.
Yeah, I don't mind. Actually, the menu in GNOME, that full screen dashboard thing, I actually don't mind that. I prefer that than an old school like Windows 7 kind of menu, kind of like Plasma has. I don't want to click through a set of menus for anything. Just hit super, type something, hit enter. That's all I want to do.
Well, what I
mean, you can do that on most modern menus too, but it kind of feels like the GNOME menu. Well, I mean, discoverability too. Like if I wanted to dig through that menu, because everything's kind of organized by a category, where GNOME, they just throw everything in that one menu. Which I guess that's a plus for some people, a minus for others, depending on what you're used to.
Well, what I got out of last night, what they were talking about is there's a difference between GNOME and Ubuntu's version of GNOME.
Yeah.
All the issues they were having, I don't have on Ubuntu at all. Everything just works, notifications, everything.
That's also correct. Basically, Canonical puts a lot of work into their version of GNOME, and it's a lot more user-friendly, or specifically new user-friendly. Like, I know I had a lot of problems with notifications on the old versions, where notification would show up, but if I didn't check it out right away, it wouldn't be in the tray and stuff like that. Didn't really see that because I don't receive so many notifications nowadays, only about YouTube. Otherwise, it's like the side menu. You need either dash to dock or dash to panel, because without that it's basically useless. And that's why Canonical does good stuff, because they include such stuff by default.
Yeah, because I don't have any extensions installed on Ubuntu, and it works perfect.
You have Canonical-based extensions.
Yeah, you have extensions. It's just they're not part of like a tweak tool that you can disable and enable them. They're
Yeah, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, some of the GNOME applications are not really like the GNOME 3.30 applications or whatever, 3.32, depending on whether you're on the development releases or not. They're holding stuff back. They're using old versions of Nautilus, for example. That's why you can have desktop icons. You can't have desktop icons if you're using a different distribution. So.
Yeah, I don't like desktop icons, so they don't bother me.
That's why you have the window buttons with the minimize button, and you know, Canonical adds all that stuff back in that was ripped out before.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing about GNOME that really started bothering me when I was when they first started taking the minimize buttons out, and then I didn't have a task tray or taskbar, but I found the extension for that, and that saved my life a lot until my system crashed and I had to reinstall, and I never put that back in there.
Yeah. Well, the GNOME devs, you know, I understand you don't really need a minimize button because you don't have a taskbar in GNOME. Like, I understand they're trying to go for this different kind of workflow, but a lot of people are trying to make GNOME into something that the devs are going one way and everybody's trying to force it back into this old Windows 7 kind of paradigm. If you're struggling with GNOME the way it actually is, Budgie, Mate, like there's other places to go that give you all those good GNOME GTK apps, you know, the same kind of experience, but, you know, with a proper panel with a taskbar and a menu system and close buttons, you know.
And there's Silent Robot. Hey.
Yeah. How you doing, Silent? Yeah. Yeah, Silent. Yep. Yeah, you're good.
His latest version of Salient is really good too. I mean, that's what I was running the GNOME 3.5 on. So.
Yep.
Oh, thanks, Chris. Glad it's working for you.
Yeah, in the chat, Sebastian was asking. Yeah, I logged into Xmonad to do this this live stream. You are correct. This is Xmonad. I don't know how the heck you knew that, but because I haven't. Have I actually shown my desktop at all? But yes, I.
Well, didn't you have didn't you post last week that you're using Xmonad, and you did a couple
Well, I used Xmonad for about 5 or 6 weeks, and then about a week ago I switched to Herbstluft WM last weekend. I've been on Herbstluft for about a week, but I don't have it set up for some of the layouts and stuff where I want to place windows on the screen to do, for example, this Zoom chat, which I haven't done in a couple of months. So I just logged into a window manager I knew everything would work in. So I logged out of Herbstluft and logged into Xmonad just to do this Zoom chat.
And we still have problems.
Yeah. Well, the problems weren't my computer. It's the problems with YouTube. That is strange. I don't know. Depending on whether I was using the classic dashboard, video dashboard in YouTube, or that new one, the one in beta, it gave me 2 different stream keys. And both of them worked, but one of them actually streamed to YouTube. I don't know where the other was streaming because I couldn't find the video. Yeah, that's weird. I'm just going to stick to the classic dashboard now that I know where it's at, though. The beta one is... I can't find anything in it, and it's just very, very slow to load. Like, Firefox was giving me warnings saying this page is slow to load. Would you like to stop the process? You know, and all I was doing was opening the video dashboard.
Probably all the back-end JavaScript they got running on it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's got all that proprietary garbage running on the page. So, by the way, Silent, your audio's a little low if you can turn it up just a hair. All right. Yeah, so this week, I haven't been distro hopping any. I need to take a look at Salient. Haven't got around yet. Really, this week I was on vacation from work, and really I was just focusing on just doing some maintenance around the house and life things that I needed to take care of. Took care of my taxes this week. That was a pain. I hate doing that.
You use all that YouTube money to pay for an accountant. Yeah?
What was that?
Use the YouTube money that you get paying for the accountant. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You know, I'm not getting. You know, I'll get a few hundred back. That's typically what I get back every year. You know, I usually don't have to pay in at least.
Yeah.
But then, you know, whatever I get back, you know, I'm going to pay, you know, somebody $150, $200 to do my taxes for me, because usually I don't do it myself. Although I guess I could. But, you know, then trying to figure out all the forms and everything, you know, exemptions, and, you know, I could spend an entire afternoon filing my own taxes, where I could just take it to somebody and pay them. Here you go. So, it's almost worth it.
TurboTax. That's your friend.
TurboTax, you just do it, what, on the site?
Yeah, on the site.
No. Yeah, I've got family members that...
They got, you can file state for free this year too, right?
I don't remember, but I don't have state tax where I live, so.
Well, that must be nice. No state tax. I appreciate the super chat there, Chris. Yeah, state taxes, where I'm at, they're high. They're not crazy high, but yeah, we have to pay in. But the taxes here in Louisiana are outrageous. Like, well, everything, property tax, sales tax. Sales tax is outrageous. Where I live, the sales tax is 11%. And just the way this state is, you know, the roads are all messed up, the schools are all run down. It's like, where all this tax money we pay, where does it go? Corruption. It's all going to the mob or something.
Well, the big thing right now in Connecticut is, do we want to put tolls back up? And it looks like there's going to be tolls, and there's more roads that are going to have tolls on it than they had planned originally. And now there's, you know, opposition making itself very vocal.
And that's one thing we don't have at all in this state. You won't see a toll road. But again, all the other taxes are so dang high. I mean, our roads should be better than, like, it's strange. You'll get on an interstate, and our interstate is just full of potholes. Everything's under construction, all the interstates in the state. And then you go to the Texas line, and as soon as you cross it, the roads are nice and smooth and everything. So,
have you guys recovered from Katrina yet?
Oh yeah, yeah. So that was what, 2005 for Katrina. Nobody really mentions Katrina much anymore. It took years to recover from that. I mean, after Katrina, so pretty much everybody in New Orleans and around that area was displaced for months, in many cases over a year. Many of them never returned, because once you move somewhere for that long, put your kids in school, you know, you don't come back. And just to rebuild all the infrastructure, get power and everything, I mean, some of that stuff took a couple of years, really, before New Orleans was back to everybody can move back in, and, you know, the city is okay. But it's, again, a lot of the people that moved away never came back. So it really changed, like, the population of this state. Baton Rouge really became like the biggest city, because so many people moved north just a little bit to Baton Rouge. Some of them moved even further north to Shreveport. The population of it, you know, became a lot bigger. Many of them moved out of state. There's an interstate between New Orleans and Houston, I-10. Many of them just moved to Houston. Of course, those poor people then had to deal with Harvey, you know, so I don't know. Maybe they moved back to New Orleans. So.
Well, isn't the Mississippi flooding right now? I thought there's like Missouri and a couple of states there were dealing with some flooding on the Mississippi.
It never really floods down here where I'm at, because the river is very big once you get this far south. And, you know, the Army Corps of Engineers and the levee systems are pretty good. But probably, I don't know, once every 20 years, you will see kind of a big flood where breaks a levee or something. It's usually in the Midwest. So it tends to be like in, like Missouri, you know, places little further north, where the Mississippi tends to flood. Down here, there's the levee systems are so good. Because it's a very big river. When I cross the Mississippi here where I'm at, like if I go about an hour east of me, an hour east of me is the Mississippi line going to Vicksburg. And the river at this point, this far south, is a very large river. Big bridge that crosses it and fast moving water. And it's not the way it is where the flooding happens typically. It's a smaller river. Once you get way up north where it actually starts, the Mississippi starts somewhere in Minnesota. I mean, it's basically like a stream, where it but so many things feed into it as it gets further south.
Like here, a couple of rivers are big, but mostly they start as a stream in mountains.
Yeah.
And then they feed like from smaller rivers that start bigger.
Yeah. Yeah, there's actually.
Well, one of the.
What was that, Chris? Well, I was going to say there's actually map systems that'll show you. I was going to say there's map systems that'll show you all the rivers that drain into all the other rivers here in the U.S. and it seems like half of them eventually feed into the Mississippi. So if you ever seen one of those maps, it's kind of neat to see where all the water ends up flowing. It all works its way into the Mississippi and then works its way into the Gulf. So.
Yeah, like here, all rivers eventually feed into one river at the end.
Yeah.
And that one feeds into a even bigger river that goes through Europe. So basically, all of them feed into one river that then feeds into the sea.
Right. And then down here, we have so many bayous and swamps and everything. Most of that stuff is really just, there was part of the Mississippi before there was a levee system. Before men figured out we could levee these rivers flood all the time. Constantly. Rivers change course all the time. Rivers never in the same spot. And eventually you get these oxbows that form where the river was and then moved. And that's all these bayous all over Louisiana are. They used to be just part of the Mississippi River before we figured out we could levee it and kind of control it.
Plus you have neutrinos.
Yeah, well.
Or nutrients.
Yeah. Some things you can't control.
Getting back on a computer topic, something we were discussing in the after show is the future of Windows, and if the fact that that Microsoft is not coming out with another system administrator certification once Windows 10 expires. It seems to be that we're going away from desktop, and what we're getting more into is a subscription based, let's say, like off of Azure or what have you. But that doesn't necessarily translate to a hole that Linux will fill. And kind of what's the opinion of people around here?
It looks to me like they're going back to the old thin client scenario, the client server setup, but putting a subscription model in between.
Here I have a bit of different opinion. In my opinion, Microsoft is going the way of how cloud gaming is going and stuff like that. Basically, subscription model, you have a core system on your machine, then everything else fits from the central Microsoft-based servers, and because most of the stuff is on cloud either way, and only specific systems that will require either some hardcore programs or something like that will be based on the hardware, your own hardware, and that will probably mostly be either servers and stuff, and more high-end company computers like workstations or development labs.
It seems like everything's going to be web. It's all going to be web services, right? It's all going to be cloud services, and that's That's how they're going to make their money, selling you those services.
Subscription model, and
Yeah.
even if they don't go for the cloud way, subscription will be the king. Like you see nowadays, you have every other thing is already subscription based. Like for example, in gaming, Origin has their own subscription model where you're subscribing, you get the whole library of EA games. If you subscribe for like a year, I don't know how much it is, but basically you have whole EA Origin library. And as far as I hear, Microsoft is going for somewhat subscription model, because some ways it's actually much more smart, and in other ways it's more idiotic. But that's a question for every person, how they think. And as far as I know, they're going for somewhat, I like to call it Linux model, basically modularity. They're going to have a core system, which will be based on a Windows 10 kernel, as far as I hear, or upgrade version of Windows 10 kernel. Then you're going to modularly decide what you want in. Like, for example, if you don't want specific services, there won't be any, but it will still be somewhat locked down. And this is going to be far more used in corporations than on home. On home, you're probably going to have like a home version that will be pre-built, where on corporations corporation could build their own type Windows, because they already actually do this stuff. They actually have you actually can basically pick together what you want in your Windows, and you get a CD or a USB, and you can install it from there. You don't need like a basic Windows 10 Pro installation. Then you have to do everything yourself. They actually preset it for you. There is I don't know what software it's called. They offer software for seniors administrators to actually do this stuff, to design your own Windows 10 installation, and then you get an ISO through which you can then install Windows 10. And it's basically preset for that specific corporation, and it most of the time actually even doesn't work outside of that corporation.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder too, if Microsoft is shifting all their focus to all these cloud services now, where everything's on the web, where the operating system, the fundamental operating system, really doesn't matter that much. Why bother developing Windows at all? You already say you're supporting Linux. Why not just go with a GNU/Linux distribution, and Microsoft could make their own, roll their own Linux distribution, forget about whatever all the millions they spend on Windows development.
They're probably going to stay on Windows, specifically on Windows kernel, because it is kind of state-of-the-art and really, really good, since they started developing it with Windows Vista, and from there it really matured. That's one thing they will stay, but reality is they don't really see Windows or operating system as a big market nowadays. They are more into cloud services and stuff like that, like Azure, SQL, specifically SQL Server, and stuff like support for development, like heavily going into Visual Studio, and somewhat also into open source, where they actually don't, with stuff like .NET Core, where they actually don't target to sell. They actually like to go open source, as far as I see nowadays.
Yeah, well, they're targeting developers. Of course, the big news, about a week ago was the fact that they open sourced the Windows calculator. I mean, that was gigantic news, right? Wow, a calculator. Wow, we don't have 100 open source calculators already. Thank you, Microsoft.
As far as I saw the code, it's actually quite involved, and actually it's quite impressive code, as far as I saw. It isn't like some good old calculator where it just slapped together. It's really, really, really impressive, mate.
Are you trying to say that the Windows calculator is better than Calculator?
Yeah, I'm actually saying that. It's, as far as code-wise, it's probably one of the best calculators ever made. At least that's the consensus where I talk to.
No. No, the GNOME calculator's not bad though, Big Pod. I know you're a GNOME fan. That's
Yeah,
not a
it's-
bad calculator.
It's a really
quite
good
okay.
calculator.
Well,
Yeah.
one thing I really like about the calculator is that it gives you a history of what
Yeah.
you've added up.
Same thing is on Windows calculator.
Yeah, but you have to run Windows to run the Windows calculator.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, you know what? I guess I could install Windows or maybe install Wine even just to run the Windows calculator, but I don't know. That seems like a lot of work just for.
Worth it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? There are people
not
that
worth it.
message. There are people that have messaged me before and told me they install Wine just so they can have Notepad.
Mm.
Okay.
Why?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a
I
lot
don't get
better.
that one.
Yeah. Again, we have 100 free and open source text editors that work on Linux. Why do you need Notepad? But you know,
Yeah,
some
If you
people.
need a Microsoft-based word editor, you can go for open-sourced Visual Studio Code.
You know, people get used to using the tools they use. I mean,
Yeah. But what's there's certain people at work who insist on having Notepad++, which
Right.
I never figured out because it gives us headaches when we have to install the stupid thing.
Yep.
But and it's like, what does that give you over what's already there? You know, they say,
And it-
well, what's there? And we say Notepad. And they say, what's that? Something
Syntax
that does
highlighting.
5
That's
hours
what
a
it gives you.
Yeah, well, but pretty much any plain text editor that's
It's
worth
somewhat
anything
geared towards,
does syntax. Yeah,
and somewhat towards Linux coders, it's already has some sort of syntax highlighting and
yeah.
stuff
I mean,
like
I'm
that.
going to defend one of the GNOME apps once again because Big Pod is here. I mean,
Yeah.
I can get syntax highlighting and everything I want in gedit. I mean, I could program in gedit if I wanted to. I mean, what does Notepad++ offer that I couldn't get in gedit?
Nothing really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Gedit is pretty powerful.
yeah, pretty extensible.
And to the truth, I mean, Vim, even nanos, if you get into the configuration of nanos and Emacs.
Yeah, it has syntax highlighting.
Yeah.
Nano has syntax highlighting.
Yeah, Nano does. Yeah, sure does. Yeah, Emacs, yeah, is very configurable, but you do need to know a little bit of a eLisp. I mean,
There's
you
a
have to,
steep learning curve.
yeah. Of course, the complaint about Vim is it's very extensible too, but it uses that strange Vim script, you know, to configure a lot of stuff, rather than a standard programming language.
I enabled syntax highlighting syntax highlighting in Nano on Salient out of the box, just so for people who can't get on with Vim, they can use Nano.
Yeah.
First thing I do in any system, Linux system, I set Git default commit editor to Nano.
Yeah, because it's always going to default to VI.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I always hate it.
Yeah, but keep in mind, a lot of people that are using things like Git, or if you SSH into other machines, you're going to run into machines that only have VI on the system. You're going to have to figure out, how to use it.
I know one thing: how to exit,
Yeah,
and that's it. I don't care for anything else.
and so you're going to keep running into VI if you work on Unix-based operating systems. So.
Most of them have also Nano installed.
Yeah,
At least
most.
one I see.
Yeah.
Especially servers, you will see Nano on.
I know, like Debian-based systems have Nano usually already on the system. Ubuntu servers have Nano already on the system. Arch, I think, does install
Yes, it
Nano.
does.
Yeah.
Archie does. Same with Manjaro.
Gentoo, I'm pretty sure, does not. But I mean, how often are you working on a Gentoo server? It's usually a desktop. People are
Or
making.
Scratch.
Yeah, Linux from scratch, of course, doesn't have anything.
But I mean, far as text editing, I really cut my chops on that with the EDT on the backs under VMS. And then when they moved over to Eve and had EDT as a subset of that, I always used EDT because I muscle memory on the keypad. It uses the keypad extensively for creating commands like moving words, deleting paragraphs, opening lines, and stuff like that. And I wouldn't even have to think about it. It was like almost automatic. Then when Microsoft started going with the 102 keypad or keyboard, and that plus key taking up 2 slots, that started screwing me up.
Oh, but, yeah. I don't like those new keyboard layouts with that weird, but the plus and minus and all that. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. So if I can, I get away with trying to use an LK40 on PC, which doesn't work.
Matter of fact, that you mentioned a great plus for something like Vim is because the arrow keys are the home row HJKL. Then that weird keyboard layout that so many laptops have, or some laptops don't have a proper keypad, full keypad or anything. Something like Vim makes sense when you're kind of limited on the keys available to you.
For me, getting to the new arrow system on my laptop that has like in one row all 4 keys, it's like somewhat weird because up and down are split in half. But after like a day, I got used to it and I can do it. And I have what I consider normal keypad.
A fun fact about the reason Vim uses HJKL is the old school terminals. When the developer of VI back in the 60s or 70s, those old school computer terminals he was working on did not have arrow keys. And that's why he programmed VI to use HJKL, is because they didn't have arrow keys on that keyboard.
For secondary functions on those keys.
Right.
Yeah. But
seems,
coming up with some of the command names like yank,
yeah,
stuff like that has always been interesting. I mean, you think about it. It was about early 90s, I guess. Someone came up with how politically incorrect Unix was, because you touch files and you have
you mount things.
Yeah.
Of course, it is kind of sexist, that you have man pages, but you don't have woman pages. Somebody in the chat is mentioning Notepad Qq. Yeah, Notepad Qq is kind of like Notepad++, but it's a Qt app. It is the default text editor on a lot of systems that install LXQt for their desktop environments. It's not a bad plain text editor. We have a million of them, though. Text editors, I mean, the ones that kind of stand out from the crowd, of course, Vim and Emacs because of how extensible they are. Of course, the big ones like Visual Studio and Sublime, Atom. Matter of fact, you guys want a lot of text editors? Install Arco Linux, because I think Eric Dubois uses all of them. I think all of them are installed.
I believe only Visual Studio Code is installed. I know Sublime, Atom is, and
yeah, you use Atom a lot and Sublime.
Depending on what desktop environment, he also has the default one on there, like Gedit or Mousepad.
He has Mousepad. There's Genie on there. Of course, Vim is always on the system. Yeah. He's got like 6 text editors on Arco Linux. Just pick one. So. I think the default is Atom, though.
You go with Kedit, which is the Plasma.
Well, they have 2, don't they? They have or 3. They get Kwrite and Kate, and Plasma has 2 or 3 different text editors. I don't know exactly why.
Yeah, some stuff Plasma is weird.
The way I look at Kwrite is more along the lines of the WordPad.
Yeah.
Microsoft WordPad.
Kind of like a minimal kind of word processor. It does some formatting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't Kate the one? Kate, doesn't it have like the mini map on the side, kind of like something like Sublime?
It does. So does Gedit and Zed and quite a few others.
Studio
You can
Code.
enable a mini map. Sublime does.
Well, I've noticed that in Cape because it tends to be enabled by default, and I just always thought that was kind of strange.
It's quite wide in Cape as well. It's
it is
a lot wider than the others.
Mm-hmm.
I love smaller minimap like on Visual Studio Code. Is like quite small and it's okay to use.
I think Sublime is probably the fastest I've tried. Load a really big file into Sublime and use that map to scroll through the file. It's blisteringly fast.
Well, I know why it's slow in Atom. It's Electron apps.
Let me tell you a quick joke. You know, Atom is made by GitHub people. Electron is made by GitHub people. Ironically, this was before GitHub was bought by Microsoft. Microsoft made better application in Electron than its direct competitor from GitHub, the same people that made Electron. Atom and Visual Studio Code are basically the same applications since they are both Electron-based and quite similar looking.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And GitHub people make Electron and Atom, which is a hell of a lot slower than Visual Studio Code.
Yeah.
Which is,
well,
again,
of course,
based.
Now Microsoft has both products. They say they're not competing products either. I mean, they're going to keep developing both and use whichever one. Atom was built as a clone. It's just a straight clone of Sublime.
Yeah.
It's just free and open source, where Sublime is not. So and of course based on Electron.
You can see that Microsoft doesn't really let's say care, but they don't really want to have like competition inside the company. Basically, even GitHub and their own VSTS, as they are now known as Azure DevOps, they are still separate, and both of them are being developed and added features. Like, for example, even on the GitHub, there has been enabled free private repositories. And that's been a couple of months ago, basically, ever since Microsoft bought it. Basically,
now Microsoft is screwing up GitHub.
No, it's not. They gave up till now private repositories were paid. You had to pay for private repositories. Now, since Microsoft bought it, they give it away for free.
Well, they kind of had to, because people were jumping ship when Microsoft bought it. So to entice them to stay, you know what, we're going to make some of these features we were charging for free or a little cheaper. And then, it made everything better, because then GitLab, was giving some of their services away for free. So all of a sudden
GitLab always had free private repositories. Now basically whatever features they were having, like same, like price and free, they're basically the same.
Right. And Microsoft, they may not want competing products as far as Visual Studio Code and Atom, but here's the thing with Atom. It's free and open source software. I mean, what are they going to do? We already have the code. If they said, we don't want a competing product, well, it's out there for the community. Any of us could take that code, fork it, create a new project tomorrow. People will start working on it. It will live on forever. So
yeah. Same with code. Basically, it's already a fork of code. It's already made.
Yeah.
You still there, Ansley?
Oh, yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
Listening to the great discussions.
It is strange how Zoom, if you don't have a camera up, or maybe the camera's not working properly, it's a black screen, but against a black background, it's kind of hard to tell Ansem was even there.
I'll figure out how to fit something in the window. Picture or something.
I think to put the avatar
in your control panel, you can add it.
Okay, from the website?
Yeah, if you go to the website, you can upload an avatar. That's probably the easiest thing to do.
Okay, yeah, I'll figure that out later.
Although it doesn't seem to remember, because I've uploaded my avatar and it's just showing their name at the moment.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. Well, Zoom, it's proprietary software as well. So.
Yeah.
Like, for example, remembering my name.
And people always ask me about maybe doing a free and open source solution for something like this, but and there's a few, but there's no good ones. I mean, we could try something like Jitsi, but playing around with Jitsi in the past, it's not great. It's basically like an open source Hangout, and I don't like Hangouts. Hangouts too. Google Hangouts. I don't like the audio quality. I don't like the video quality through Hangouts. This is good.
Hangouts is going away next year anyway, so
yeah.
But I mean, I really like Zoom. The only thing I don't like is like when I'm on Biddle, and I have the chat open, the Zoom chat open. My system just halts, and I can't keep up with it. So when messages come through there, I have to open it, read the message, and close it, and otherwise I have to reboot. And I think that's more along the lines that I'm using ancient hardware. But
yeah, I haven't noticed any problems. You're talking about the standard, like the Zoom chat, like if me and you guys were chatting.
The Zoom group chat.
Yeah, right. I haven't noticed any problems with it. Yeah.
With the 5 of us, it won't be a problem. But when we get, 10, 15 people in there and everybody's hitting the chat at the same time, that's when my system crashes. So. It can't handle the bandwidth is what it is.
No, well,
like I said, I'm using ancient equipment. I'm using a dual core Celeron with 2 gigs of memory.
Well, I mentioned how bad Hangouts can be as far as video quality and audio quality. Some of that, of course, is bandwidth issues and server issues from Google. But I think that's also why Hangouts has always had that hard limit of 10. Only 10 people can join a Hangout because it's already bad as it is. Can you imagine if 20, 30 people joined a Hangout?
Hey there.
Hey, Ben. Hey, Ben. We were wondering when you'd arrive.
I just got out of bed.
You look like it.
Oh, jeez.
Rough night?
I won't know because tonight I'm having a bunch of guys over for beers and that sort of thing, so we're just going to hang out and have some fun. Anyway, in my Linux news, I am basically moving Hackman Linux, my Linux distro, to a Manjaro base instead of Pure Arch because kernel 5, at least on my hardware, is acting really stupid. It's an Optimus-based laptop, and I don't know what the heck is wrong, but for some effed up reason, it doesn't like my Optimus graphics. It keeps refusing to log me in unless I use the new Vue drivers, and I'm like, what the crap is this? So yeah.
For me, the Optimus drivers work great.
Well, I installed the Bumblebee NVIDIA drivers, the Primus, the everything, and for some reason it doesn't want to take.
What distro are you using? Please didn't listen.
It's my own. It's Hackman Linux, and for some reason it's based around Pure Arch, and with kernel 5 it craps out, but with kernel 4 whatever it works fine. So I am like.
You sure it's just not a problem with your machine?
I'm sure because I'm running Debian right now. It runs okay, and with
kernel 5.0 problems.
Sorry,
kernel 5 problems.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Which version of NVIDIA drivers are you using with the 5.0?
It was the 4.18, I believe.
Okay, because I couldn't get the 5.0 to work with the 4.15. I can only get.
Yeah, I'm running a newer version of the NVIDIA card drivers.
Man, so, I love running the LTS kernels because I never have to worry about this.
Yeah, and
I ran 420.
Yeah, I tried. It was kernel 4.19 that I'm running right now, and it's not giving me any problems. And that was what I was using on Manjaro, and the only problem I had when I last built Hackman with Manjaro is the fact that the Calamares installer was acting goofy, but Silent told me how to fix it, so it's not a big deal.
Calamares is awesome.
Yes, and actually, now in Hackman we have our own Calamari installer, new themes, and the Calamari installer has been themed to work properly. We don't have that god awful TTY installer anymore, so now it's all Calamari and everything is fixed up, so it's all good to go.
Yeah, I'm also developing my own distro.
Awesome.
It's still in alpha phase of alpha, but yeah, in a couple of months.
Yeah, well, I am currently working on Hackman with a Manjaro basis, so
but Big Pod,
you will have that.
Big Pod's going to have a GNOME distro, though. He's not doing XFC.
Have a GNOME distro.
No. Open box.
Open box. Cool.
Okay. Let's be clear. It will be with 6 different environments.
Oh, wow. Well, you're going to run into some problems.
Bloat of the bloat.
Bloat of the bloat.
Yeah, and you'll actually be able to choose what you want and
run it.
So I'll have something for everything. Open box. I will have Qtile on there. GNOME.
Awesome. Herbschlift. Xnode.
Basically, open box.
Well, if you're doing those kind of window managers, you might get away from it. Full desktop environments, if you did 5 or 6 of them, yeah, you'd run into some serious issues just from doing an update. You know, yeah.
Also, I'll have GNOME on there, so basically it's something for everything, like GNOME, KDE, W.
Oh my god!
Yeah. Well, I can
with that.
Yeah,
I can tell you, having installed all of those,
that'll be dependency hell.
Basically, what I'm running now.
Yeah.
OpenBox
and Qtile have no dependencies, no real dependencies. Qtile is dependent on Python, but it's already going to be on your system anyway.
No, but no Plasma.
Yeah, so like
it's
those kind of
what I'm running now.
Yeah, you could probably throw i3 on it and you'd be fine. Don't put Xmonad on it.
Don't put Xmonad. No.
Yeah. Xmonad is going to require a lot of dependencies.
So we will have and I will have less on that ISO than I have right now. Here I also have Mate, Budgie.
Oh my god!
So I have everything possible except Deepin.
You know, Big Pod, there's a reason when you go to the Arch Linux forums, so many people are running minimal window managers and not full desktop environments. Is because of the updates. You know, if you have 200-300 packages update for a new version of Plasma, things tend to break. That's why they all run i3. That's why it's the meme. So now you're going to put all these desktop environments on a distro.
Yep.
You're going to break something. You're going to break something.
You're going to break.
That's why it will be based on Manjaro stable.
It's still Arch underneath, though.
Yeah, it's still Arch under the hood. Yeah.
Yeah, but at least a bit tested.
It's not really tested. It's just packages are held back for 2 weeks.
They actually test them
for a while. Yeah.
They actually test them, and users are using them for a bit 2 weeks. Different users are already using them.
Are you talking about the people on the testing repos? Is that
I'm on testing
the people
repos or
okay,
unstable repos, and from there are a lot of stuff is weeded out for those who are on the stable repos.
Well, hope it works out for you and for Ben. So
yeah, hopefully it will. Yeah, I mean, I just have to install. I have to install Manjaro and then see how we roll.
A lot of people are making custom spins of Manjaro these days because I guess they make the process pretty easy with some of their tools.
Yeah,
it's really easy to do.
Yeah, I see different Manjaro spins all over the place on SourceForge and everywhere else.
Basically, just edit a couple of files and you have a distro.
Yeah. I guess it seems to be what everybody wants to make their own custom spin out of these days, where it used to be, you know, Ubuntu
the
flavors.
tools are a bit more complex than that. You've got 2 different environments. You've got one set of packages for the live media and then one for the installed system. It's not as straightforward as the Arch ISO tools.
It isn't so as I said, edit a couple of files, but yeah, with a couple of file edits and knowing what you're doing, you can really easily make a distro. if you're going blind, yeah, of course, it won't be so easy. But they also have a couple of nice tutorials.
Yeah, especially the one I've always used is Spatry's how-to on using Manjaro tools. That's what got me started. So.
Philippe did a really good introduction video.
Yeah, he did a good base how-to, yeah. But unfortunately, that's a couple years ago, so it's not really,
things change.
It's still relevant to the base structure.
Still quite relevant and still quite base stuff still the same.
Yeah, it's still the same basics. So
but nothing's easier than Arch ISO. It's just one layer, AirRootFS. That's it. Job
exactly. Done. Yeah, Arch ISO is a bit more involved, but it's still.
That's the KISS principle. It's the keep it simple, stupid.
Simple principle. That's the way.
I say that job done. It's still months of work to get it right.
Yeah, quite.
It's easy to build an ISO from it.
Yeah.
Well, that's why there's so many Arch spins too. Uh-oh. Ben?
Silent.
Yeah.
Question. Yeah. How easy it is to add AUR packages in Arch ISO?
Second, how?
Easy to add AUR packages in Arch ISO.
Very
easy.
Very easy. You just create a custom local repo.
Okay, since on Manjaro you have to have a repo, like a remote repo that's on the internet. And
that's right. Yeah. It has to be hosted with Manjaro, but not with Arch ISO. You can do a local one.
What I did, I just made into the Opeta and didn't really make a Pacman file. Just did a standard install.
You could always do what Arco Linux does and just have an install script for everything from the AUR that you want to add on.
But you could even just have you can have a GitHub or a GitLab repo and just store your packages there, and pull from there.
Yeah.
And now that GitLab has automated build system, I don't know if it takes package build files and builds from them, but if it did, that would be awesome because you just make a directory, put the package build file in, and it will go off and create your package for you. So it means they'll always be up to date.
Yeah.
But I don't think it does support
playing with make package files to see how they do its work and stuff like that. So I've been making my own packages.
And if you're adding stuff to your own custom Manjaro spin from the AUR, make sure your users know how to update those AUR packages if they ever need to.
Yeah, you'd have to include an AUR helper like Yay or something.
Make sure
like
they know that those packages come from the AUR. Yeah,
Yay.
Because a lot of people
they're get sourced. I mean, they become flagged as AUR packages, but if you're, the ones I've included in Salient are compiled from source from Git.
Yeah.
So it's like there's a fine line between what determines an AUR package from a Git sourced package.
Yeah.
I suppose they're the same thing, really, because if you go to the AUR Arch Linux website and search for something, it will have a Git repository at some point.
Yeah.
This brings up an interesting question for you guys. What AUR helper, if any, are you including with your spins?
Yay.
I'm including Tries. I'm going with Trizen
and
because I tried Yay. It was nah.
I choose Yay because there's almost 100% parity with Pacman. You can use exactly the same commands in Yay as you do with Pacman.
Yeah.
So it's familiar territory for people.
Yeah, I found no difference between the two personally. That's just me.
I've used both Trizen and Yay. Reason I stick with Yay these days is it takes your standard commands. Especially if you were using Yowert before.
Well, not only that, Yay isn't just restricted to AUR. It will pull from community extra standard repositories as well. So you can actually use Yay as a replacement for Pacman.
Right. You don't have to do Pacman at all. You can just update your system with Yay. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Or use like PAMAC or something like that. That's what they also include.
Well, I usually am not going to put a graphical package manager on my system. But you could use PAMAC.
PAMAC also has the backend. You can use the backend, its backend, which is basically I sort of pair it like apt, like same type commands it has. So it's
the new version of PAMAC is pretty good. You can actually edit the build files, the package build files, directly in it now before you commit the build, which is quite cool.
That.
And I don't know if this is true, but I have heard people like breaking their systems by running updates with PAMAC. I don't know if that's a problem with PAMAC or just Arch in general. But
PAMAC doesn't always catch dependencies correctly.
That's what I've heard. The rumor is it just has some problems sometimes resolving dependencies.
As far as I hear, some have broken their systems, especially in Manjaro, because they use KDE and update in KDE, which is a giant no-no on rolling distro, since Qt gets like fully updated and it can crash KDE as a whole. And many times in the middle of update, basically KDE crashes. That's actually what happened to Chris Titus. And he had started blamed PAMAC, but then Philip told him what actually happened.
Yeah.
Well, I've never had that myself. I've been running Arch Plasma for the last 3 years, and it's never done that on an update.
And you do have to.
It's never done.
You have to keep PAMAC updated as well. You have to make sure.
Basically, he did an update, and basically the whole system crashed up. And it was actually written on the Manjaro forum on the post about that do not update in KDE, since so many updates are to KDE and Qt, it can crash KDE. It was known from testing and unstable that this can happen to that specific KDE update. So,
well, let me ask you guys this question.
TTY.
Let me ask you guys this question: what graphical package manager is officially supported in Arch?
None.
Exactly. So there's a reason.
Manjaro is PAMAC because it's made by Manjaro people.
Yeah, there's no true, other than PAMAC, it's nothing.
Right.
I use PAMAC to search for things, and once I find it, I'll drop to a terminal and install it that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it would be fine for discovery.
Yeah, it's fine for discovery, Derek, but in reality, you're better off just installing stuff from the command line.
Yeah, I mean, if I wanted to search for something,
like XFCE, i3, whatever, you're better off installing stuff from the command line.
I don't know what
install from PAMAC, but update always through TTY.
Yeah, I mean, even installing stuff within a GUI is okay, but you never know if something's just going to screw it up in the next minute.
Looks like Chris is back. Got some more coffee, sir?
Well, no, I had to hit the restroom, and I figured, let's turn the rest of the things on in the museum, save a little bit of time a little bit later on.
No, that's right. You're working today. No.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't call it working. We're all volunteers here. We don't have any paid staff. But
yeah. Still work, though. You're doing a service. So.
Stuff I like doing.
Yeah.
Chris, how's Roomba?
Stuff I like doing.
Oh, yeah. We talked about that before you got here, Big Bud.
Roomba got tangled up in some wires last night, and so when I came in this morning, I had to untangle it and put it back in its home, let it charge.
Poor little doggy.
I know. I swear, I'm going to put a little husky face on it and tail and stuff like that. We need to get a cat to ride around on it now. Yeah.
I imagine a cat would love to play with that thing, actually.
I mean, there's a ton of videos out there with cats riding around on Roombas and stuff like that.
I can imagine that. Knowing my cat, he would have a blast with something like that. Which people always ask me, I own pets, because so many people show their pets on camera. I do have a cat. He's never on camera. I don't allow him in this room when I'm doing this, just because he would be jumping on the desk and be all over me and everything else.
Yeah.
We have that on Biddle.
Yeah, I'm not switched to Linux, you know. I'm not having the cat He's feeding the cat on camera on his live streams, and it's kind of cute, but
yeah, that's. I think he takes a little over the gun there.
Yeah. It took me forever to realize he had two different cats too. They're not the same cat.
I never noticed that. I was like,
it's always one cat on camera, but he has two of them. They just look the same.
Yeah. I'm just
that guy.
I'm
not really liking
serious craziness.
Yeah, no, I'm not actually don't like that guy.
He can be a little bit overbearing. Yeah.
Tom from Switch to Linux.
Yeah, Tom has some weirdities about him that I don't agree with that.
He's a interesting character. I love it whenever he does the scene where the flames are surrounding the frame. He goes on fire.
I like that. Oh my God!
Because he gets so animated sometimes, and he gets angry. And I remember, you know, before he started doing the actual flames on screen, people used to say Tom's on fire, you know, because he'd be yelling at the camera, and then the dude actually put flames on the screen.
That's when he gets really ticked off. I'm like, oh my God, Tom.
Yeah, just get him
it's who he is. You know, he's got a real backside to him that he doesn't show a lot because he's normally very calm and collected.
No, well, he's calm until you bring up certain topics, like when he's doing videos about things like Facebook privacy and things like that. You know, he just goes
switching to Snap, where he didn't do any research, just reading something that isn't even an official thing.
Yeah, that was a strange video too, because
that was a great video and a great response by people.
Yeah, because I mean, we have people that work at Canonical that often join us on these streams. I mean, he could have contacted Alan Pope, who's always around, you know, here on YouTube. He could have contacted people like Martin Wimpress. He could have contacted any number of people that actually work at Canonical and asked them about that.
Yeah, the problem is he doesn't do research before he posts his videos.
Yeah.
Like,
he only read one blueprint from some random guy on the internet that proposed fully switching to Snap, and that was it. Basically, that was it.
You know what I was thinking the whole time I watched that Snap video from Tom was man, when Alan Pope watches this, he is going to just lose it.
He was so that was so weird Saturday with him on Biddle. It was so weird.
He was very polite about it.
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
Very, very polite.
Yeah, he was polite about it.
You can tell he didn't want to be, but he was.
Well, he actually is employed by Canonical. He can't. He you know. So.
But you know what he was saying in private.
Right.
Well, I wasn't that polite on that video below in comments or in Reddit. I wasn't merely that polite.
Mm-hmm.
But I tried to be professional.
Yeah. One thing I want to talk about, though, since we brought up this Snap thing, I don't know how we got off on that topic, but snaps, you guys
get on any topic.
Yeah. You guys on Biddle were mentioning that snaps sometimes open up slow for you guys.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that I've got snaps on my Manjaro machine here, and Arco on the laptop, and you know, I use snaps, Flatpaks, app images. I've used all three. I never have a problem with snaps that sipped, oddly enough, on Ubuntu. On some of these recent versions of Ubuntu. So I don't think it's a problem with the snap format necessarily. I think it's just a problem with what Ubuntu is doing.
Specific version of app.
Which is quite ironic if you think about it.
Yeah. Just like it's ironic with GitHub and Atom.
I could go to Snapcraft right here on camera and just pick a random snap, install it, and I guarantee you when I launch it here on Manjaro, it'll launch in a couple of seconds. And but I have had the problem you guys have on Ubuntu 18.10, Ubuntu 19.04, the development. Some of these snaps, like the terminal or the not the terminal, the system monitor, take like 2 minutes to launch. You know? Yeah.
Just
and it's an Ubuntu problem. Yeah.
I don't know about Discord, which is Snap, opens right away on Manjaro.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if it's an Ubuntu problem because I have 4 machines running Ubuntu.
Yeah, that.
I use snaps on everything. Yes, the first initial is slow.
Yeah,
but I'm
mainly
gonna
that.
on this when I'm chatting on here is Umix. I don't know if you guys remember that one.
Yeah.
And they didn't have any snaps installed, so I uninstalled everything, installed all snaps. Everything fires right up quick. So I don't know if it's hardware specific or what. So
Also somewhat hardware specific probably. It's probably what kind of mainly drives that where people use.
Yeah.
But it's actually mounting stuff onto specific places and if those aren't good at random read and writes, probably it's kind of crappy.
He makes a point there about the hardware, though. It would have been interesting if we would have asked people what they were running Ubuntu on these machines that the snaps were acting slow, or if they were even running them on physical machines. Was it a VM problem? If it was, what VM were you using? Because it could be, just something with their machine.
Because this laptop I'm on right now has a 7200 RPM standard HD.
Yeah.
They fire up quick. On my gaming rig, it's SSDs. I really don't notice a difference, to be honest with you.
Okay.
On this laptop, I have an NVMe SSD, like I believe it's 980 EVA.
Yeah. People are talking about, well, it's the fact that the snap has to mount before it runs, but mounting something, I mean, should be just. It shouldn't take. It shouldn't take 2.
Right there. Basically,
Right. It shouldn't take 2 minutes for a snap program to open up like it does on some of the newer Ubuntu's.
No, I'm still not convinced with them flats or snaps. I'd still rather compile from source than run snaps or flats. I've compiled Blender 2.8 from the GitHub source. I'd rather do that than download a snap or something.
Yeah.
I hate compiling. That's like
that's
most ironic part of me is I'm a programmer and I hate compiling.
I love compiling because it means it's optimized for your own hardware then. And it runs so much faster than if you download it as a binary.
I have a special system just to compile.
Someone in the chat is asking me to snap run slow on Debian. I don't have any machines running Debian, so
Debian.
I'm running Debian. I haven't tested snap packages on it yet.
I heard that some that on Debian snaps are having problems. I believe it's, as far as I heard, it's something with AppArmor or something like that. There is some differences between normal AppArmor and the one Debian uses, and it's like problematic.
And Silent mentioned he doesn't like to install snaps or Flatpaks if he can just build them from source. I'm kind of all over the place. There's no rhyme or reason why I install things with snaps, Flatpak, AppImage, the AUR, compile it from source. Usually I'll go to like a GitHub page and see something and it'll have installation instructions, usually whatever the first one is. Usually what I'll do. I mean, if it's a Python app and it's installing with pip, that's just what I do. Even
so
if
there's no real conscious reasoning behind what you download. No,
right.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Same with me. I just use whatever.
I just get clone, compile from source, job done.
I know I prefer snaps, so that's what I use everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there's one thing that you mentioned a while back ago, DT, was Piano Bar.
Yes.
I downloaded it, got it going real easy and everything else. Love it. Then suddenly it disappeared from my system. I don't know where it went. And I went to download it again, tried to run it, and there was a library missing. And so now I got to go back.
That would be why it wouldn't run for you anymore, is there was an update to something. Is it a Python app? Or anyway, probably whatever it's written in had an update, and that library is no longer available.
But then I got to go through and find out what the prerequisites were and download those packages, because I tried downloading what it said it was missing. And DNF said, say what? So.
Yeah, and if you're on Fedora should have all the latest packages in the repo. So probably whatever you're missing, you should be able to find. It's working for me, though, on Manjaro, which is a rolling release.
Yeah, I just haven't had time to fully investigate it yet. So.
Yeah. But I have run into that, especially with a lot of the terminal-based applications, especially command line applications that are, written in Python, for example, you know, the next major update of Python is going to break those apps. So then you have to figure out how to fix them. Usually it involves just recompiling. If you built it, you install through the AUR, reinstall. So.
That's why on some levels, Snap and Flatpaks are good because they keep the dependencies
it's all
them.
Containerized. Yeah, exactly.
We lose Ben?
Yep.
Yeah, well, I guess Ben.
Goodbye to him. Bye, Ben.
Well, he didn't say bye in the chat. He may have just left for a second, and he'll be back. So, you know, Ben is always doing something on his computer. You know, he mentioned he was building his own distro there, so he. And of course, he's always hopping operating system. You know, Ben will be on Windows some weeks for some reason, which always blows my mind. Somebody will go from Gen 2 back to Windows 10.
Yeah, I hate distro hopping. I don't do it.
Back to what we.
I have a special partition just for the installing random distros.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back to what we were saying towards the beginning of the chat was that you got to the end of April to get your Microsoft Systems Administrator in Windows 10. Past that point, I think it was March 30th or April 30th that they're going to stop offering that as a certification. So.
Yeah. But you'll have other Windows certifications. I'm sure you could go grab if you needed one to get a job.
I got one of the last thing pluses that don't expire, and I mean that it's amazing how many employers ask for that, and it's like, yeah, really, A+ was supposed to say yes, you have the competency of someone who's been on the job for 6 months. Do you really want to base a candidate on that alone?
Mm-hmm. Well, I would think for probably a lot of employers, though, the certifications probably don't matter as much as do you actually know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody can get certified in something and still be clueless.
I don't have a single certification. And I could have gotten the Cisco certification, but I didn't really want to go to the Cisco Academies stuff. Too much to pay.
Well, yeah, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, the Cisco Academy was the course that at my college, at my university, when I was going for the computer networking, Bachelor of Science in Computer Networking, was the Cisco Academy. It was split up in 2 semesters. I learned everything I needed to know on that. I just never went for the certification once I was graduated. So.
Yeah,
we got all the stuff like NAT and IPv6 and all that other stuff.
Well, that's probably the important ones, the networking stuff. I'm not certified in anything. Certified to. Yeah, I'm certifiable, but I'm not certified. All right, let's see. So yeah, so Piano Bar, Chris, did you check out Curse Radio yet?
I saw your. I saw that on your. You put that up last night?
Yeah, and a matter of fact, I thought of you when I made that video, and a couple of other guys that I know some of y'all really like Piano Bar, and I still use Piano Bar for Pandora, but Curse Radio, just if you want to listen to like local radio through your terminal, like it's fantastic. Yeah. Like it finds the local stations for you and everything, and it just works. So
I'll definitely check that out. But what I really liked about Piano Bar was I could set up like 1930s and pump that through our radio station here at the museum.
Right. Well, the Curse Radio is, yeah, it's not just local radio. The Curse Radio, you can search for internet radio stations all over the world, and you can search by music genre. So you can find like 1930s music on Curse Radio too, pretty easy. A couple of seconds, just searching through their menu system.
Is that using Curl or?
I'm sorry?
Does that use Curl or what was it used for an engine?
I'm not sure.
Curl.
Is it? Let's see. Let me see if I can. See if I can find. I know it was on GitHub. I installed it though. There is a package in the AUR. Is how I installed it. Let's see. Curse Radio. It's written in Python. Let's see. Kind of. So it's designed to use a tune-in directory at radiotime.com using OPML, XML basically. I guess it's just pulling some information from a website is how it gets, I guess, the listing of all the stations available all over the world. And then
it looked like it. I thought it was funny that how fast you had to click off that stuff to avoid copyright, though.
Yeah. Well, I also wasn't playing it through the desktop audio. The music you heard was actually coming from the speaker through the mic, so it wasn't. It's kind of distorted. I doubt it would get tripped up in Google algorithms anyway. I wasn't too concerned about the few seconds where things played. If I'd actually been playing the legit desktop audio through the video, yeah, I might have ran into some problems. I probably would have took the time to go and edit some of that stuff out. Yeah, so today is the last day of my vacation. I gotta get back to work. 6 a.m. tomorrow. So today, I think after I'm done here, I'm just going to maybe watch some Netflix. Usually don't watch much TV or anything at all. Just relax today. Actually take a lazy day.
Tomorrow school starts for me again after 3 months.
Might go to the gym. Might go to the gym this afternoon. So, and what was that?
How much more do you have?
What?
How much school?
How much more do you have?
This year, like I believe it's 3 months, basically 4 subjects and exams for them. Then one year more. Then I'll be official title. Engineer of Information Technology.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we'll know who to come to for all our IT questions.
Yeah, but I won't be graduated engineer. That's then additional 3 years.
Yeah, so you're gonna.
I love the titles they give these things. It could be information mechanic, couldn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah. True.
I don't think I'm an engineer of information technology.
So you graduate and then you're going to go back to school?
When I graduate, I could go back to school. Probably won't. I'm still not decided. But for now, I'm still computer technician, official title. Like those titles are amazing.
Computer technician. What does that actually mean? I mean,
that I know how to fix a computer and I have basic understanding of programming and nothing more.
You see, I wouldn't think computer technician would have anything to do with programming, but I guess
basically they teach you a small amount of C++.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, my official title is Senior Assistant Desktop Support Engineer. And as far as engineering is concerned, there is no engineering involved with my job other than engineering ways of getting users so that we can actually get the work done and they don't feel like they're getting ripped off. And senior assistant. I don't really assist anybody. I mean, we work as a team, but you know, it's like, and senior. Oh yeah, well that doesn't mean a whole lot other than putting SR in front of everything. So.
Yeah. So senior assistant desktop systems engineer. Is there an abbreviation? People just call you the SADSI?
I don't know. I mean, our team is the Winterlox desktop support team. That's about it.
Help desk.
Yeah.
That's what we call help desk.
Yeah, none of you guys are the help desk, I hope.
I was technically
we're level
for like
help
2
desk
months.
level 1.
I technically was the help desk for 2 months, but I was a help desk for corporations.
Yeah, I can only imagine some of the help issues you get from some people.
Thankfully, only IT people called me, so they knew basic stuff, not much more.
Yeah. My computer's broke. Can you fix it?
I actually had a ticket one time that said computer broken. That's all I have for a description. So what do I put down for a solution? Computer fixed.
Basically, I got a call. Network is down. What do I do?
Yeah,
and that was like an IT person. It was the lead in the IT department. Network is down. What do I do? Fix
Not
it.
much.
Back up.
It's down.
Let us come and fix it for you. And guess what? One cable was loosened.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always the case, you know.
Yeah. You guys know that's. Yeah, I don't want to be anybody's support network. That's why I don't do my own custom Linux distro, my own spin of anything. I don't want people to come to me with their support requests. Even just putting my dot files up on GitLab. I had somebody open an issue on GitLab the other day. Hey man, I used your DWM build. It's slow on my machine. What's the problem? And I'm like, can you give me some more information? What exactly is slow? That was 3 days ago. He never responded back. I was like, okay, well.
People are idiotic when it comes to this stuff.
Response now, so you can.
I was like, and you know, I almost like didn't even want to respond to it when I saw it. I was like, well, let me help the guy out. What exactly is slow? Is moving the windows slow? Changing the desktop slow? I mean, I have no idea what the problem is. It works fine on my machine. And then I want to respond, you know, these are my personal dot files that work on my computer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know if it will work on your machine.
I was mainly working on fixing computers. Like, people brought it in, I fixed them. But sometimes we were going and fixing corporations because the basically corporate stuff, server and stuff like that, the company did what I was working at. So basically a lot of stuff. It was cool to work. I had to work for like 2 months for a school internship. No school, just work. Yay. Now back to school.
Well, I mean, in another year and 3 months, you'll be engineer of IT, and then you'll make the big bucks, right? So
yeah, big bucks of 900 euros.
Yeah. Then we won't see Big Pod anymore. You know, long hours.
Long hours of sitting behind my computer asking, why don't I get to work?
And you think you're going to be doing something really exciting, and all you're going to be doing is backing up all day. That's all you're going to.
Well, if I ever win Powerball, I'll set up a central streaming server that we can have 24-hour Linux support on. If someone has a problem, they connect up.
Yeah. Well, we already have that, not video, but I mean, IRC runs 24/7. So.
I forgot. Yeah, you set that up, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
I've connected a couple times and just forgot to live about it because I haven't used IRC in about 10 years.
Yeah, and most people, don't even know IRC exists, especially younger folks that weren't around when IRC was popular.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you know, you're asking random people on the internet to help you with your Ubuntu install or your Fedora install, they have an IRC channel where people are actually just waiting there to help you. So why don't you go
when
ask
I mention
them?
IRC to people, you know how sometimes a dog can look at you like it's trying to understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's normally the response I get from people.
What does that mean? Internet relay chat. What? What does that mean? Like,
yeah,
okay.
what?
It's www what? No, it's not World Wide Web. It's part of the internet.
My first and I believe also one of the last interactions with IRC was when my sisters used it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was basically totally barefoot going into the IRC of DistroTube.
I was thinking about starting up an Archie server again.
Yeah.
I cannot find any Archie servers. I mean, I think that protocol's dead. So.
Wow, Archie, I haven't heard that in a long time.
Yeah, that's might as well do something with Gopher.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I forgot about Gopher too. That was kind of a different internet.
Well, I mean, Gopher was based off of code developed over at the University of Minnesota. I got relatives in Minnesota. Maybe I can do something about that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a little too old school for me. I'd stick with IRC or maybe setting up a BBS. But
are the news groups still around, or is that pretty much gone?
As a matter of fact, Usenet is still around.
Yeah,
nobody
okay.
uses it other than spammers. That's why Usenet kind of died, because it was infested with so much spam. No real conversation happened. So, but you can still get Usenet readers. And
I think the last conversation I had on a news group was about Mad About You, Paul Reiser and Helen Hunt's television series. And then
Usenet was great in the early days of the internet.
Oh yeah.
But then around, I don't know, early 90s, mid 90s, it just became this complete spam fest to the point where most ISPs completely dropped the Usenet. They didn't even want you to connect to it. They didn't want to support it.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time in OS Linux back then, in the mid to late 90s.
Well, I remember a friend of mine was trying to get me to switch over to BOS.
Wow.
Wow.
That's not a friend. Although I gotta say, Haiku is pretty good for what it is. Like I can actually, I can install
a derivative of BOS.
It is. It's supposed to be 100% compatible with the old BOS. I can install it on one of my laptops, for example. Wi-Fi works. Like LibreOffice is actually available in Haiku. I can do some work in it. It's actually pretty mature compared to something like ReactOS, which people often ask me, man, take a look at ReactOS. ReactOS is garbage.
Awful.
Yeah.
I was interested in that till I saw that it was, and I love Windows 2000. And that was my last certification as far as Microsoft is concerned. But I loved Windows 2000. I wish they had developed that a little bit better than trying to push everything over to XP. But that ReactOS, it doesn't look good. And the fact that they're trying to come up with a kernel that is, we're talking almost 20 years old.
Yeah, well, the problem is ReactOS, it started development about 20 years ago, the same time the Haiku OS started development. They've both been under development for like 18 years. The problem is Haiku, I guess, serves some kind of purpose. ReactOS serves no purpose. By the time this thing actually gets an official, not an alpha or beta release, nobody's going to care. Nobody cares about having a Windows 2000 clone in 2030, right? Because by then
holographic environments by the time reactor is
right. Yeah.
Anyway,
well, since we're talking about old OSs, anybody ever use OS2 Warp? Because I used it versions 1 through 4
back in the day. God, yeah.
I never got the hardware to run it on.
Yeah, I never played with it.
Get a PS2, and I never got it. Yeah,
nobody ever got it.
Yeah.
Hey, it wasn't that. Once you got up and running, it was a really good operating system. Getting it up and running is the issue.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I take that back. I did work on it when I was working on when I was the operator and a supervisor in a mainframe shop, and we had 5 mainframes that were operating, and OS2 was the operating system on the hardware console, so we could, control the mainframes, boot them.
Right. Well, I remember from OS2 Warp, if my memory serves correct, it was 32-bit when everything else was 16 back in the 90s.
Yeah,
I remember
it was kind of advanced for its time. Now OS2 didn't Apple actually purchase that from IBM at some point? Or am I mistaken?
Microsoft and IBM went in. We're developing it. Then something happened between them. Microsoft went to, Windows.
Right. But I remember somebody purchased it and then it just died. It was only around a couple of years.
I don't remember.
That's why nobody used it. That's why it never really caught on. So.
Well, Apple was trying to get off of the OS. Apple OS kernel that they had going on, and they had already fired Steve Jobs, so they didn't have the marketing innovations. And then when he came back with Next OS, which is a Unix-like environment,
that's right.
And they started using that as the kernel and came up with OS 10. So yeah.
Yeah, I forget exactly how OS 10 came around. I do remember Apple changing a lot of things, though, back in the late 90s. I actually used those old Macintosh computers, though. Those were great. The old Macs back in the 80s and 90s. The new Macs, I have no love for. I would never buy one. But the old Macs...
When I was in school, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say the old Macs that I worked on, in college, in the early 1990s, were fantastic. They were the best computers. So much better than any Windows machine, Back then, of course, your options were Windows 3.1.
Yeah, because back in the 80s when I was in high school, we had Apple IICs. I think that's what they were called. They all ran on floppies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we had Apple IIe's, and then we had Apple IIe Plus, and that plus was that we had 128K RAM.
And it's interesting you mentioned floppies, the big floppies. You can't find drives for them anymore, and those things are worth money because people still want to run them, and because nobody really makes them anymore. If you have some of those old floppy drives, you can make a little money selling them if you're willing to part with them.
I think I threw all mine away years ago.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Some vintage computing is kind of in fashion now, and so much of the hardware has been tossed. Everybody got rid of their garbage. I'm like that. I don't keep old stuff. I'll clean out my closet every couple of years and just get rid of anything I'm not using. Even if somebody could find a use for it, I just don't want to junk up my house with all these random parts.
No, I got stuff everywhere.
I got a box here full of cables and old laptop parts.
Now, cables I keep. Now, I have one of those big Rubbermaid bins with nothing but cables. It's not organized in any way, but if I ever, need some kind of weird cable, I probably got it in that bin. It may take me half an hour to...
Connector on it.
Yeah.
The old parallel cables for the printers.
Oh yeah, I've got cables now that I wouldn't even find hardware for some of the cables I've got, so I don't even know what. I should probably go through that bin, but
yeah, hook up a zip drive.
Zip drive. Wow. iOmega.
Yeah, I actually had a zip drive. Again, we're talking about like early 90s. Yeah, zip drives. Wow. Those things were so advanced at the time. Like, you were just the coolest person. You were a super hacker if you had a zip drive.
The chat start talk about i3. Oh, well.
Yeah.
We kind of lost them, I guess.
Yeah, well, we wandered into i3 and it looks like some Xmonad chat. And then... That's good. These guys are interested in some window managers, though. Hopefully, you guys in the chat are actually trying out some of these window managers. Takes all 10 seconds to install, log back out, and log into i3 or whatever you want to try out. I think most people, newer computer users, tend to fear change. Just try something out. If it doesn't work, log back out and log back into what you were using before.
They fear the unknown. They fear breaking it, because then they don't know how to fix it.
Yeah. Well, you won't break your computer with any of those minimal window managers.
The last telling window manager I used was TWM, and that was in the 90s.
Ooh. Yeah, that's the Tom's window manager.
Yeah.
That's still, I think, the default window manager for the X11 Windows system. So,
I believe so. I thought it was awesome back then.
Man, it is so bad. That was one of the worst window managers I've ever taken a look at. TWM. It is not good. That was the only one I think I ever tried that I thought, man, I could not use this on a daily basis. There's just no way.
I think back in the 90s, that was the only one available on Linux at the time.
The common desktop environment, the CDE, was around.
But wasn't that Solaris?
Yeah, it started life as Solaris, but then it was ported to, I know, Slackware. Some of the early versions of Slackware had it. But yeah, you didn't have a lot of choice back then.
No, not at all.
No. And we're kind of spoiled with choice now. Of course, the idea of a window manager was I mean, before really Windows and Macintosh having operating systems where you actually had graphical environments with windows on the screen, you didn't think of things like window managers. All you were worried about was stuff at the command line, right? When I learned how to use a computer in elementary school, what did we learn? We learned DOS. I mean, we learned DOS.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I still love the time sharing, resource sharing systems because everything is centralized, and you have your terminal presenting your data and collecting the data, and just management wise it's so much easier because terminal goes down, you just replace the terminal. Or user went in and switched it to 300 baud instead of 9600 baud.
Are microcomputers even still around?
Ooh.
Oh, well, many computers.
Well, that's what the terminals.
The Mark Iron is still around. IBM's still making the Z 2003. I think they've updated that to I don't know, the millennial or whatever they call it. But I mean, there are still VAXs that run. There are PDPs that are still running. AS400. AS400 is still a big one for IBM.
Yeah, I use that before. I like the AS400.
Yeah. So I mean, the larger computers are still there. They're just, they're not as the central role, so to speak, because you got the distributed computing.
Well, guys, we got about 5 minutes till noon, so we're gonna shut it down here for the day. I'm gonna go maybe get a workout in at the gym, do a little something, and then I'm gonna come home and relax and get back to my work week starting tomorrow morning. So before we go, of course, let's get a last word from everybody. Chris, last word, sir.
Well, thank you for doing this week. It was great catching up with you guys and just having a general chat about everything that we covered, everything computing and not computing.
Yeah, we meander around a little bit.
It was great just talking things out with you guys.
Yep. These are always fun. Ansem, give us the last word, sir.
As usual, enjoyed this chat. I like the broad range of subjects, and hopefully we can keep on doing it.
Yep. Well, the broad range of subjects, I mean, it's not scripted. We just go where it goes.
That's what makes it great.
Yep. Big Pod, last word.
Thanks for having us. And if we would have another hour, we would probably come to AI.
Again.
Yeah, we really wanted to talk about AI that one week. We never got back to it, and we also need to discuss the holographic model of the universe. That was another one. Matter of fact, I just saw a news article about that the other day. I should have pulled it up. Maybe next time we do one of these.
Yeah. Sure.
Silent Robot. Last word, sir.
As always, thank you very much, Derek.
All right.
It's a pleasure. Always love these chats. Interesting people.
Yeah,
I love the way it meanders around. It's just random chats. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Well, you get a varied group, right? We all come from different walks of life, and this is the Linux community.
That's fun.
Before I go, of course, I want to thank all the patrons. This, of course, was a chat with patrons. I have some of the patrons here on screen, but the show is made possible by Ansem, Carlos, Chris, Douglas, Dylan, Leo, Rob, Robert, Tony, all those other names you see on the screen. It's a bunch of them. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for making all of this possible. All right. Peace, guys.
Take care, everyone.
Good night,
Yeah.
morning, afternoon.